Hi, I'm Rudy Zeidler. LaRue Turnaround Management Consultants are dedicated to helping owners and CEOs of $3 million to $80 million a year companies reverse negative cash flow, stagnant revenues, declining sales margins, and cash-eating operational problems. There is a high probability that sales and marketing pose the greatest prospects for improving your company. The following sales and marketing insights are excerpted from LaRue's course on turnaround management consulting. From a turnaround management's point of view, the sales and marketing leg is usually a vast opportunity for triage of margin and cash flow improvement. 90% of the time, the sales department is either part of the problem and the solution. Our objectives today are to identify roles and responsibilities of the sales and marketing department, analyze issues in sales that can affect company cash flow and profitability, and prescribe the triage strategies to cure the ailing sales departments. Role of the sales and marketing department. Primarily, the sales department has to identify, penetrate, capture, and nurture the company's target customer base. Increase profitable sales year over year. Remember, like a shark, a company must always be moving forward or drown in its own creeping overhead by attacks from other sharks. So the sales department is the attack force. It's the spearhead of the market invasion force. It is the basis for the best marketing intel that the company can have because it gives you direct information from the field, from competitors, and it keeps you in touch with what the customer's needs are, which are changing every time they move up their product. The sales department is capable of raising prices and increasing profit margins or hurting margins by discounting. So let's come back to the basic job of the sales department. It introduces the products to the marketplace. It feels no's to and from the customers. Yes, a sales department sometimes has to say no because the customer might be asking for something that it cannot do, like ship in advance of the schedule, or perhaps make a modification on the fly. There are all kinds of no's, like even reducing prices. But above all, the sales department has to capture sufficient market share, profitable market share, to achieve profitability. Remember, it has to get above the break-even point. Now we come to something nobody ever talks about, which is overcoming the company's weaknesses. If the company is slow to deliver, it's the sales department that has to answer the customer. If the company ships a defect, guess who has to talk about it? If there are other problems, sales department handles it. Now let's talk about the sales and the turnaround management consultant. This is entitled Non-Triage Strategies. Now understand, you come into the company and the first thing you have to do is make things happen quickly. Well, material cost savings sound interesting. Reduce cost of goods sold, you bring down the break-even point. But when you introduce new material or from a new vendor, you've got to check test that material. You may even have to talk to your customer and client's customer to get approval. And by the time you test it out and check out the vendor, that's not what you call triage. Layoffs sound great, but you're going to lay off people with a lot of company knowledge. You're better off considering a partial layoff, like go to a 4-day or 3-day week, which is then supported by the unemployment office. And that works, but not mass layoffs, unless the people are bad people. Technology savings, new product, bring in new technology, sounds great, but it requires cash and time to do this and to introduce a new product. They're not triage. Operational savings that save costs of operations sound good, but that requires capital expenditures, retraining of people, approval of the process sometimes by the customer. So again, it's better to save this for post-survival mode strategies. Now let's come to a very interesting problem because it's ongoing. The challenge of recruiting sales management. Let's remember, the sales VP is often promoted from field sales and commonly lack tested management and marketing skills. They've been out there in the field selling. They haven't been creating literature. They haven't been doing branding work. And there are no university degrees to teach them. So you can't say in your advertising, someone with 5 years sales and marketing department work and university degree. And here comes the scary part. A new sales VP cannot be assessed. You can't be evaluated for close to 6 months. So you've spent the time advertising, you've spent the time interviewing, you hire the best guy you think you can handle, that you can afford. And guess what? You really don't know for 4 to 6 months. It's a real challenge. Now, let's come to the problems. We're being very negative, but this is reality. The sales department liquidity and pricing can hurt you badly. Unprofitable pricing, especially if the company doesn't know what its real break-even points are, end up with loss of margin and loss of money. Next problem is that if your sales department isn't telling you what the competition is doing, you can find yourself way behind the curve because they're using new technology. They've introduced a product with better benefits. And unfortunately, your customer learns about it first because your competitors are out there touting what they have. Another question, is a sales department share optimized? And let's look at this. Let's assume that the United States is your market. There are 50 farms out there. Look at this country as a farm, big farm. And it's broken up into 50 little farms. And you have reps and you have distributors, and they are sharecroppers. They're sharecropping each state. Interesting picture? So now you look at your sharecrop areas, and if they're not being farmed, you either don't have sharecroppers or you've got bad sharecroppers. Therein lies your problem. Now let's take a look at sales incentive plans. Are they motivating or demotivating? If your sales plan is not properly designed, if the bar is too high for them to earn profit bonuses, it's demotivating. If it's just right, it's motivating. And if it's too rich, then they can get the money and not have to bring in any real sales. Is it structured? Or you have salespeople who need help because they're bogged down with maintenance of customers and they can't look for new customers? Do you have sales coordinators in the home office to help the salespeople in the field, to help the customers in the field? One of the worst problems is to have a good sales org for people in the field and not enough people in the office to support them. These are all good problems. How long ago were your prices raised? The sales timidity to raise prices is a real disease and it's understood. You have to have it raised because your SG&A is growing. If you're selling a quality product, you have no problem raising your prices regularly. Now let's talk about leg adjusting tools and levers. Your company revenue and cash flow can be increased and improved by increasing the number of sales representatives and distribution network. Remember, they're sharecroppers, and you have the numbers. You can tell whether your sales in each farm is increasing or not. If they're not increasing, you push the rep, and if that doesn't work, you change the rep. You have a marketing program that's bringing in leads, and a very interesting question is, are you bringing in enough leads? And are you doing anything with the leads? Are they just piling up and then being thrown out? Lead non-usage is a terrible disease, but it's rank in every company. So the question is, are you following up with them? And if you send those leads to a rep or to a distributor, do you have a system that says they have to give you feedback that they followed up the lead? And now let's take a look at it. It's a real marketing issue. You are working with companies that are giving you a 32% margin and your SG&A is 33%, so you're not making much money. Are there higher margin applications? Are there uses for your technology in your shop that will give you much more money? There usually is, and you have to look for them. Pricing and quoting. Price increases must be made to counter creeping costs. I cannot say that enough. And we're giving you the tools to calculate what the minimum should be. If you have a high quality offering in your marketplace, and I'm serious about this, price for it. Don't be afraid to price. When purchasing agents and people buy, despite what they say, price is a poor third in their decision making. What would the purchasing agent do? Waive his low price when the vendor is not making delivery and the production line is stopping? No. If the product is faulty, do you think the purchasing agent can say, "Well, I bought the lowest priced item"? No, he's on the spot, or she. So don't be afraid to price for a good product. We went over a process of checking for minimum break even in module 2. Well, quoting the price is one thing, but the quoted price and margin or profit, once it hits the shop, can be very different. So you got to really, and the CFO and the sales department has to be looking to make sure that the product that's being made has the profitability or raise the price again. Let's take a look at cash flow and payment terms. The sales department negotiates a deal, and part of the deal are payment terms. Customers often use vendors as interest-free banks. You said you ship them $100,000 and they don't pay it for 3, 4 months, 5 months. They're sitting on the money, and you are paying. You're giving to them as interest-free loan. There is a creative way. That is, you can say to your customer, "Look, if you need 60-day payments, we can't live with it. But I'll tell you what, put it on your credit card on the 30th day, and you can achieve more time to pay it." Or you can give them discount terms, and maybe they'll take the discount. Some of the credit card, by the way, companies now are allowing you to put it on the card and get interest-free payments for 45 days. So let's wrap it up. Sales and the CFO legs must monitor and maintain strong profit margins. Sales triage strategies can immediately and positively affect cash flow and profitability. At the beginning of an engagement, triage is the game. You not only want to save them money, you want to pay for yourself, and triage is the only known way to do it. Last but not least, because it saves some money, but it has risk to it. If you do a sales effectiveness audit, now that means you look at each part of the sales department and marketing department and say, can I trace their salespeople to more business? Have they brought in new customers? Have they penetrated their existing customers? Have they been losing customers? This is all part of an audit. And you may find that you've got some dead wood, in which case you get rid of the dead wood, and you'd be amazed how the other salespeople notice it and march a little harder. But a sales effectiveness audit has to be done because people retire, people with the wrong hires to begin with, but kept in place. I hope this information was valuable to you. Click here to contact us to discuss how LaRue can help your company.